Hey guys, Alternate Star Wars Galaxy here. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Justin Sambula for suggesting this what if idea to me. If you guys have any what if ideas that you want to see, or just any what if ideas in general, please let me know down in the comments below. I do Legends, Canon, Legacy, and I'll even do crossovers. Announcement will be at the end of the video. Enjoy the video! Our story begins on the planet of Iridu. Tech was holding on to dear life on his attachment cable rope, trying to get back into the cart that the Bad Batch were trapped in. He knew at this very moment he wasn't going to be able to get out of the situation without getting him and his team killed. So he made the ultimate sacrifice and cut his cable, falling into the cloudy abyss, which shook the Bad Batch to their core, as well as devastating them mentally and emotionally. But what the Bad Batch and Tech didn't realize was that a miracle was about to happen. Tech, falling to his demise, would be able to find a tree within the fog and would quickly grab onto one of the branches. While he hit part of the tree, feeling pain he'll feel when he wakes up in the morning, he started to lose his grip, so he used his extra pistol to attach one more grappling hook on there, which is a grappling hook he had just in case of emergencies like this. And he would manage to attach it onto the tree, and he would safely land. Tech knew that he needed to contact the Bad Batch immediately, but unfortunately for him, his communication device was badly damaged, which didn't matter anyways because Tarkin had jammed all communications on the planet. So, Tech would need to find an Imperial shuttle and get off the planet. Tarkin had ordered a planetary lockdown procedure, but luckily for Tech, he was able to make his way to an Imperial shuttle, and with his scanning goggles, he was still able to scan for Imperials that would be close by. And found an Imperial shuttle, which he managed to fly out of the planet in time, because the Empire's focus was more on Saw's rebels, as they knew that Saw and his rebels were still on the planet, because they hadn't escaped yet, which gave Tech all the advantage he needed to escape. If it was someone else other than Tech in this position, it may have been a bigger struggle. Not that his escape wasn't a struggle, it's just he has a lot more genetic intelligence, which allowed him to use particular interesting strategies that would get him off the planet easily, or at least more easily. It took him about an hour to escape, which he left just in time because Saw and his rebels were arriving at their transport. Tech assumed that his team were still on Ord Mantell, and he was right. He saw an Imperial shuttle that had landed close to them, so he would destroy the shuttle, assuming his friends were in danger. So he would catch Dr. Hemlock's attention, which got Hemlock to send some of the clones out to stop the threat. And the Bad Batch took immediate action and killed the clones with Plan 72, and would stun Dr. Hemlock, removing him of all communication devices. They would also stun Sid for her betrayal, and so they could escape without her snitching on the Empire even more. The other clones would be killed off one by Tech, who landed his shuttle. The Bad Batch, seeing the clones disappearing one by one, they would kill off the remaining clones. It was always so hard to kill fellow clones, even if they were just a bunch of regs to them. They wondered who this mysterious figure was, and why he assisted them, but it all made sense when he revealed himself to be Tech. The Batch were overjoyed to see him, and they would exchange in one large, long hug. Mainly because Wrecker is very strong, but he's a real softie. After escaping Ord Mantell with their Marauder and the stolen shuttle, they thought for a moment, wondering where they should go. They knew they couldn't keep running, so Tech suggested they should join Rex's rebellion and actually do something to help the galaxy rather than running away and acting as mercenaries. The rest of the group agreed with this, as Omega stated that if they wanted to stay alive, they needed to join Rex's clone uprising, and they would get to see Echo as a plus side. Not to mention, they just found out that the Empire can kill them. Hunter would get into contact with Captain Rex, telling him that he and his team wanted to join his clone rebellion, and that they were done running away from the fight for freedom that the galaxy was desperately asking for. Whether the galaxy knew that, didn't know that, or had to pretend they didn't know that. Rex would accept the squad in with open arms, so happy that they decided to join. Rex explained that they'd been searching for the planet that held their missing brothers, that they wanted to free from the Empire. So the Bad Batch explained that they captured Dr. Hemlock, who, according to Gregor, knew where the clones were being imprisoned. They would place Dr. Hemlock in one of the prison cells on their capital planet of Teth, and would interrogate him, but he wouldn't bite. So, they called for an old friend of theirs to assist them in the interrogation, Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka would arrive and use the mind interrogation on him, one that she learnt from the Jedi when they interrogated Cad Bane, about the list of future younglings holocron, as well as the kidnapped children of the Force. It would take a lot more work because it was only just her this time. But eventually, after enough interrogation, Dr. Hemlock would finally crumble, as his mind was almost destroyed in the process. Mainly because one of the clones kept hitting his head on the table, just to make him cooperate a little bit more. And to be fair on the clones' perspective, he was making the clones suffer. Ahsoka, Rex, and the Bad Batch hated doing this though, but it was the best way they could find the other clones, as every time Rex captured an Imperial officer, they would electrocute themselves so they could never give the information to their enemies. But Dr. Hemlock had every material removed, including his electro capsule, so he couldn't do the exact same thing as the rest of the officers. They found out that Mount Tantiss base was actually on the planet of Wayland, so they prepared to go to Wayland with their stolen Imperial shuttle and set off to Wayland. They brought Dr. Hemlock with them just to make sure that they could get past the Imperial defenses, and made sure he gave the Imperials the right clearance codes. Otherwise, things wouldn't go so well for Hemlock. The Bad Batch, Ahsoka, who was accompanying them, and the Clone Rebellion didn't like this, but Dr. Hemlock and the Empire didn't give them a choice. And they were doing it for their enslaved brothers. They managed to get through the security fleet and made their way into the facility. And when the doors opened, and Dr. Hemlock was escorted by some of the clone rebels who were disguised as stormtroopers, as well as tech, to which they made their way to the main computer system. They had to be quick though, because Ahsoka and the Bad Batch were still on the shuttle awaiting the next step in their plan, which was to sneak through the facility and rescue the captured clones, including Crosshair. The problem was that they had to be ready to shoot Hemlock if he revealed to the stormtroopers passing by that the clones behind him were disguised as stormtroopers. But they would successfully make their way to the control room. Hemlock, however, surprise surprise, did try something funny. He had Omega waiting for him to enter the control room, because he was forced to order him to, but also because he could alert him when Hemlock and his captors arrived into the control room. And Hemlock immediately alerted Scorch that the stormtroopers with him were disguised as stormtroopers and that they were actually clones. And immediately, Rex, Gregor, Echo, and the clones fired at everyone in the room immediately, including Hemlock, but Scorch was able to dodge the attack, but would also find himself in a fight with Gregor. But one of the clones disabled the blast door before an alert could be made. With a closed space of too many clones and a clone commando, Omega would fall, but not without injuring Gregor and killing one of the clones, because it's hard to be prepared for Scorch, especially in a closed environment. Tech asked the crew, where do they go next? Rex said they should target the other important Imperial officials, like Dr. Hemlock. Perhaps even the Emperor. Ahsoka said that she would be on board with this idea. It would be a challenge, but they would succeed regardless. They would search the galaxy for all remaining Jedi who exist, as this was Ahsoka's idea, because the best way to defeat the Sith was with the help of the Jedi and clones. As it was once said, it takes two to fight it. They would find many Jedi and Padawans, some including Yoda, Obi-Wan, to keep Luke safe forever, and 190 other Jedi in the galaxy before Darth Vader could kill them. They would all unite together to take back the galaxy. Ahsoka, Rex, and Bail Organa were very convincing, and Tech and the Bad Batch were very skilled at finding individuals. Usually very skilled. They would grow a small army together, and would also gain help from various small rebellions. So, with their army, they would sneak into Coruscant with Hemlock's shuttle, and with a few Gazanti-class cruisers. They would pull off a Sith move from the days of the Old Republic, and crash the shuttle into the Jedi Temple. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Jocasta Nu was in the Jedi Temple at this time to draw Vader and the Inquisitors to the temple, but when the shuttle's door opened, instead of an army of Sith exiting the shuttle, it was an army of Jedi. Nearly 2,000 years of Jedi and Sith fights had finally come full circle. The Jedi and Sith clashed, and Vader, his team, and the clones within the temple were completely trapped when 100 Jedi came out of some of the Gazantis, and they would clash with the Imperial forces and have the temple on lockdown. Palpatine, before he got the chance to wipe out this invasion force, had to defend himself from the Bad Batch, as well as Yoda, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and 40 other Jedi, while the remaining 58 other Jedi would take out whatever clones they could with the rebel forces that did join them. And Echo had all communications jammed, so the naval fleet above the planet wouldn't know about the events on the ground for now. But it wouldn't last forever, so they had to end this as quickly as possible. The battle was brutal with tens of Jedi and hundreds of rebels falling, but eventually Palpatine, Vader, and the Inquisitors, as well as many clones, would be killed, and Tech and Echo would scan through all the orders and would activate Executive Order 65. And Vader and the Inquisitors were sided with the Emperor, so Tech and Echo executed Order 66, but had all the Jedi in a safe area, and only had the orders given to the clones within the temple, but they would cancel it once Palpatine and his crew were killed. There were many clones within the temple, however. The Bad Batch got to work, and Crosshair had already been secretly placing ranging blaster reflectors onto the walls of the temple, to which he would shoot his shot and shoot the Emperor, and when all of the clones were almost killed, the Jedi and the remaining rebels would start running out and surrounding the Sith, to which they would all fall one by one, thanks to the power of Ahsoka, who distracted Vader for a few seconds upon seeing her, Hunter's tracking abilities to Sith movements, Echo's ability to access the security cameras, and all the doors within the temple, Captain Rex's skills as a soldier, the clones' understanding of the Imperial movements, Yoda's power, Obi-Wan no longer holding back against Vader, Wrecker's brute strength, Omega's archery skills within a safe distance, and tech's genius, and together they would demolish the Sith forever. It would be a full month after the downfall of the Sith, and thanks to senators like Bail and Mothma, they would take control of the Galactic Empire and slowly turn it back into the Republic, which was made much easier when the Clone Network and the Bad Batch killed off all the remaining corrupt Imperial leaders, i.e. Tarkin, Krennic, and many others. Imperial remnants would form, but most of them would be taken out by the growing army of the newly established New Republic, consisting of clones that would join the army and the Jedi. Thrawn would galvanize most of the remnants and many of the criminal factions, both big and small, who wanted to strike at the New Republic and would make a significant progress, but would ultimately fall thanks to the New Republic, who had a larger army of New Republic forces, as well as the unpredictability of the Bad Batch and Ahsoka, which was always Thrawn's biggest weakness. The New Republic would hail everyone who fought for the galaxy as heroes, and the Bad Batch would get to retire, which they chose to, but agreed to occasionally assist the New Republic if they were needed. Crosshair and Hunter, as well as the rest of the batch, would finally rekindle their relationship and would finally be on better ties. They would live a luxurious and peaceful life standing on the highest platform on Pabu, having their hands on each other's shoulders, being so grateful that they were all back together thanks to Tech surviving and their decision to join Rex's clone uprising. They would stare at the sunset together with pure joy and fulfillment, knowing that together they saved the galaxy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our story. Let's talk about this story, shall we? So there's a few wholesome moments in there. It was actually really cool to write that. And I really loved writing the attack on the Jedi Temple. I just felt like it just felt right to have this full circle moment where instead of the Sith crashing a shuttle into the Jedi Temple, it's the Jedi. And it was just like, I feel like this would probably happen. Like, I feel like it would kind of naturally go this way. Maybe not all the Jedi would have joined, but I think I think they would have. But I think Tech surviving would have kind of given the batch a wake-up call to join Rex's clone rebellion. And fun fact, part of this story was actually how I would have written the Bad Batch if I was writing the Bad Batch at least season 2. Because I think it would have been really interesting if they joined Rex's clone rebellion. But now you get to see it on this video. And now for the announcement. So, what's going to happen for the future of Alternate Stars Galaxy is each week I'm going to release a Star Wars What If video each week. I'm not sure what day it'll be, but I'll definitely try to post a video each week. If I'm unable to, due to being really busy or something, I will let you guys know, and I will try and make up for it the week after by having 2 videos out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this story. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys next time on the Alternate Star Wars Galaxy.